Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel at Pizza Makeover. Today I'm joined by
The perseverance, guys.
we're going to be checking out the dumbest questions I have been asked by Americans. Wow, this is the part 5. I'm just seeing this right now, so we'll check out other parts if you guys recommend it. So without further ado,
Let's get started.
You know when people say that there are no dumb questions? I actually say that myself a lot. Well, turns out sometimes there are. Hallo, Servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. So for the fifth and last video of my Ask a German mini-series, I'm gonna answer this question that a lot of you guys also voted for in the poll. What's the most annoying question you get asked by Americans? Which reminded me of this TikTok trend from a couple months ago where people from all over the world talked about the dumbest question an American had asked them.
There's maybe like 10 of us all trying to explain to this American couple why they probably don't have fireworks for the 4th of July in Marrakesh, Morocco.
And I said, I've never really been more than a city kid. Like, I've always been either near or in a city. And she asked me, weren't you born in Peru? And I was like, yes. She goes, wait, I don't understand. Like, how are you in a city in Peru?
And then he said, oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, it's not pronounced Algeria, it's pronounced Argentina. I had to explain to him that I came from an actual country called Algeria.
So I decided that I'll be sharing both with you, the most annoying and the dumbest questions I've been asked by Americans. And of course, no offense to anyone who has asked me these things before. As I said in this video, I usually don't think that any questions are stupid, especially when it's about cultural differences and those kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that there aren't moments where I think to myself, wow, seriously? Still, please just take it with a grain of salt. Let's start with the dumbest questions I've been asked by Americans, and the first one is this one. Why do we call Germany Deutschland in German? I had never been asked this question before I came to the US, and I do understand people wondering about why Germany has so many different names in different languages, but I've straight up been asked before, so why do you have a different name for your country? Why don't you just call it Germany? Or why do you call your hometown this weird other name, München, if you could just say Munich? Number 2 on my list is this one. Hi, I'm Felicia. I'm from Germany. Wow, that's so cool. Like, have you lived in Germany before? Yeah, I was born and raised there. I didn't even come to the US until I was 22, after I got my bachelor's degree. So, do you speak German? Which language do people think one speaks when they're born and raised in Germany? Sometimes the conversation
real?
even
That's
goes
a
on a little.
question.
Yeah, of course I do. Like, fluently? Yeah, it's my native language. Like, my whole family is German. And guys, I've probably had this conversation 10 to 20 times in the US, so it's not one of those once-in-a-lifetime situations. I actually just had it again this past weekend. Before I share the next question on my list, I want to introduce today's sponsor, which is a platform that I wish I knew about when I still went to university, Studoku. It was created by students for students and gives you access to what everyone who's ever attended a university was wishing for during exam season: millions of student-created lecture notes, study guides, and book summaries. This can save you so many hours when studying, because you won't have to read that entire book or feel insecure because you only skimmed it, and you won't have to spend all that time on creating your own summary for the whole semester. And the best thing is that you can profit off it the other way too, because if you share your notes that you took in class, or maybe the summary that you've already made for previous exams, you can earn hundreds of dollars and at the same time help other students in your situation. That's such a quick and easy way to make some extra money while being a student with something that you already have anyway. And on top of that, you can also refer your friends and earn from their uploads too. If you're curious, I would recommend to just click on my link in the description box below and try Studoku yourself. Now, back to the dumbest questions I've been asked by Americans, and the next one is yet another one that I had never heard outside of the US. And I've been to about 20 different countries in total. Hey, German girl,
Wow.
So what's it like driving on the wrong side of the road? What do you mean? You know, since we drive on the right side of the road here, so do we in Germany. Wait, I thought you guys drive on the left side. I really don't know why so many people think this, because I'm telling you, Even Americans that know a little more about the rest of the world than the average American have asked me this before. But guys, it's mainly the UK and former British colonies that drive on the left side, like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, or countries in Southeast Asia like Thailand. But in Europe, we all drive on the right side, besides the British. Next up, I always find it a dumb question when I tell people that my name is Felicia, or Felicia in German, and they ask why I have an American name if I'm German. I know that's not a super dumb question, but I always find it a little ignorant. Like, so many names are names that you'll find in all kinds of languages, like Julia, Julia, or Anna, Anna, or Peter,
Sarah.
Peter. And Felicia has a Latin origin and shows up in all kinds of languages. That's actually one of the reasons my parents gave me this name, because they thought it might be helpful if the name exists in other languages as well. And well, they were right about that. And to get to the really, really dumb questions, we're gonna have to go back in time a little to when I came to the US for the first time at the age of 16 to participate in a high school exchange. Some of the American kids were even younger than 16 at the time, and I think it's okay that they didn't know all that much about other countries, but I was still shocked by some of these questions. I got the classics, like if all Germans are Nazis, or if Hitler is still alive, but also questions like, do you guys have refrigerators in Germany? Now let's get to the most annoying questions I get asked by Americans, and the first one is more of a me thing, I think. I don't think that other Germans are annoyed by this, but when people talk about soccer around me, they often go, oh no, sorry, you guys call it football, right? So this football player, Lionel Messi, blah blah blah. Or when I say soccer, people often go, wait, I thought you guys called it football. And yes, I know that some Europeans are very set on calling it football, but I always find this kind of annoying. Like, I'm speaking American English right now. Why would I call it football if that just leads to confusion in this country? I really don't care what it's called. I just want to make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about. Plus, no, we don't call it football in Germany, actually. We call it Fußball. So I personally really don't care which English word I use for it. In American English, it's called soccer, so that's what I'll say, and that's what I expect Americans to use too. Then I find it kind of annoying that I always get asked things like, wait, don't you guys drink your beer warm in Germany? No, Kyle, we don't. I've addressed this topic in several videos before though, if you're interested. Number 3 on the list of annoying questions is when Americans say something like, so how are you dealing with all of our local accents? Like, have you noticed that some people will call it pop instead of soda? That must be so confusing to you. What accents are you talking about? Like, yes, regional accents are a thing in the US, but compared to pretty much every other country in the world that has been around for more than 300 years, Americans literally speak the same wherever you go. Like, in Germany, we have over 100 dialects, and our country is smaller than Texas. Sometimes people speak a different dialect in the neighboring village, with different pronunciations, different words, and different sentence structures. It's really not that crazy that there are a couple words that people use differently in different parts of the US. Given how big this country is, the amount of different accents and dialects is actually extremely low. And the same thing goes for when people say things like, you gotta know that us Americans, we use a lot of slang. We don't really speak proper English, you know. Oh, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, other languages don't have colloquialisms and slang. And last but not least, this might sound kind of mean. I think a few of these things actually have sounded kind of mean, but I sometimes find it annoying when people ask me about how authentic the German food is at a specific restaurant here. Like, it really depends on what you mean by that, because we don't eat schnitzel and potato salad every single day in Germany, and most of what you find here is traditional Bavarian food and doesn't represent the rest of Germany at all. So the answer is that in most cases, things have been Americanized a little, so that's something that I can at least judge, and it's also pretty easy to judge the pretzels, which aren't German at all at most places in the US, and beer cheese isn't a German thing either, guys, and neither is dipping your pretzels in mustard. But yeah, I personally don't love that question because it's just such a vague question to answer. And the weirdest thing is when people ask me about pseudo-German food that is actually from the US, like Gouda, which is very popular here in the Cincinnati region, or sauerkraut balls, or the beer cheese dip that I just mentioned. And then people ask me how authentic that is, and I'm just like, Well, I've never seen this before I came to the US. So those were all the things that I could think of for these questions. The craziest response on TikTok that I've come across, and several people have shared the same story here, is about Americans being confused when a foreigner explains to them that their family is 7 hours ahead because of the time zones, and apparently the American doesn't really understand time zones, so they ask, so why didn't anyone warn us about 9/11 then if they're 7 hours ahead? Yeah. People have seriously shared personal stories like that, and there are a lot more of those questions out there that you can check out. This was it with my Ask a German mini-series. If you haven't seen the other 4 videos, just check them out.
Wow.
I totally understand her. Totally understand her. It's actually like that. Like any country you go, like they kind of ask you some dumb question. You feel like I thought everyone knew about this before.
Yeah,
why
got
why
some
why are you
dumb
asking me
questions.
just questions? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how it feels like. Well, it's understanding. They just want to know and understand. But there's some question like it's beyond you knowing. It's kind of like you feel like they came from they live in a tree or they don't existed before.
Someone asked me if people still eat human meat in my country.
How?
Like I was just looking at this, is just how I looked at the person.
Why?
Like what kind of question is that?
It's really dumb. It's really dumb. Sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it's kind of like annoying in some way that you be like, I thought it's something you should know by now. We're in
Right.
21st century. You shouldn't be asking me so seriously or dumb questions. But it's normal. People just want to know. Some people have not heard about your country before
Yeah.
or where you come from, so they just want to understand you properly. But sometimes they should be mindful of the kind of questions
Question
they
they
ask. Yeah.
Instead, just Google it. Then
Yeah, then you asking the
ask
person
them.
impromptu.
just it makes people feel. I
Right.
mean, it makes me feel weird and
It's weird,
sometimes
yeah.
annoyed because there's some questions you ask me, I'll be like, are you dumb or you're just trying to make fun of my
Yeah,
country?
Yeah, true.
So I kind of understand her. When they ask if there's refrigerator
That is the
there,
dumbest I've ever heard.
I just thought about it like, do people underestimate other countries, or
Countries,
do you
yeah.
just imagine that other countries are just living in
In the bush. For the soccer and football, I know that one is debatable. People
yeah,
talk about
people
that one.
always
But
argue about
how will you
it.
say someone? Do you
But-
guys use your refrigerator or is your drink cold? Like this is why?
But that soccer and football is actually debatable because
Yeah,
Americans call football. See
Soccer,
the
yeah.
football that they play it with their hand. Then why do you call it football when you play it with your hand?
yeah.
And then why do you call ball that we play with our legs
Soccer.
soccer? But anyway, that is a topic for another day. I feel just like she said, if you're in Rome, behave like the Romans because
Yeah,
she's in America, so definitely she would just call it soccer instead of arguing long distance
because
argument.
you get tired because a lot of people. You're still
Yeah.
around in the land of Americans, so there's a lot of people who will be asking the same silly
Yeah.
and stupid questions. So you just have to go along with them so they won't to prevent or stop that
Yes.
silly or dumb
The only time
questions.
she can say the football is only if she said by mistake. And hers is not even football. I think it's FUB something.
Football. Yeah.
Yeah, the only time she can say it, maybe like subconsciously,
Like,
then she
true.
just say it because you are used to that. But other than that, like people are just trying to, since we're in this environment, let's act like these people we meet. And English, I never knew America do this. I've heard of this dialect stuff, but I never knew it was this intense because the English is just English. It's just little things that are different compared to when it's different languages. Because other language, you can see these people, theirs is deeper than. But when it comes to English, American English is kind of similar, even the dialect, like it's just weird. But these questions, like, whoa, people really ask questions that are so unexpected. But anyway, this was interesting, and I get to know more about Germany and America also. So, guys, please let us know what you think about our reaction. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos.
We'll see you on the next
one.
one.